I stood outside the creaky wooden door of cabin number 6, my breath fogging in the biting Montana cold, clutching a bottle of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel, Evan's favorite. My heart hammered, not just from the grueling 14-hour journey across 2 continents, but from the thrill of surprising my husband. I'd braved a canceled flight, a diverted route, and a bone-rattling shuttle to this remote lodge for his annual guys' retreat. The plan was simple: walk in, hand him the bourbon tied with a red ribbon, and see his eyes light up like they did 6 years ago when we fell in love. But as I raised my fist to knock, his voice cut through the thin walls, cold and casual, like he was betting on a game. If she disappeared, that life insurance would wipe my slate clean. Laughter exploded. Then his best friend, Nate, chimed in. And you could finally hook up with her sister, no strings attached. More laughter, sharp as broken glass. My fingers clenched the bottle, the ribbon biting my palm. The world tilted, and the bourbon slipped, landing softly in the snow. I didn't pick it up. By dawn, I was on a bus to nowhere, my wedding ring in my pocket, my life shattered. If you love stories of resilience, reclaiming justice with style, and rediscovering your worth, hit that subscribe button for Graceful Revenge now. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Let's dive into the power of elegant revenge and life's deepest lessons together. 6 years ago, I met Evan at a gallery opening in Seattle. I was 28, fresh from managing my father's nonprofit, my hair always in a tight bun, my smile a shield against the weight of being an heiress. My family's wealth, old money from Dad's tech patents, trailed me like a ghost. But Evan seemed blind to it. A graphic designer with messy brown hair and a laugh that warmed the room, he had dreams bigger than his bank account. He'd tease me about my fancy upbringing, his hazel eyes sparkling, making me feel like the only person who mattered. "You're not like them, Clara," he'd say. "You're real." I fell hard, fast, reckless. We dated for a year, a blur of cheap wine, rooftop talks, and stolen kisses in the rain. He'd sketch me on napkins, crooked smiles, wild hair, calling me his muse. Once, at a dive bar, he pulled me onto the dance floor, spinning me until I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. "This is us, Clara," he whispered. "Forever." When he proposed on a stormy pier, hands trembling as he slid a modest ring onto my finger, I said yes before he finished. My father wasn't impressed. "He's charming, but charm can hide things," Dad warned. His brow creased. "Get a prenup." I waved it off. Evan didn't care about money. He had ambition. I believed in him. We married 18 months later, no prenup, just vows I thought were eternal. I poured myself into his dreams. When clients ghosted his freelance business, I covered the bills. I paid off his $60,000 credit card debt as a wedding gift, brushing aside his protests. "We're a team," I said, kissing his cheek. When he wanted a sleek Belltown loft, I wrote the check. Each rough patch, missed deadlines, lost contracts, I bailed him out, convinced we were building a future. But cracks appeared. Late nights, with clients, became frequent, his explanations vague. He'd charm my friends, but snap when they lingered. My best friend, Mara, stopped calling after he called her clingy. My sister, Lily, 2 years younger and sharp as a blade, tried to warn me. We were at a cafe, her blonde curls spilling over her coffee cup. "He asks too many questions about Dad's trusts, Clara. It's weird." I laughed, stirring my latte. "He's just curious." Her eyes held mine, worried, but I looked away. The signs were there, piling up like unpaid bills. The time I found a receipt for a $500 dinner I never ate, and he shrugged it off as a client meeting. The way he'd push me to try risky hobbies, rock climbing, deep sea diving, despite my fears, saying, "You're braver than you think." My passion for painting, nurtured in college art classes, withered under his dismissal. "It's a hobby, babe," he'd say. "Focus on us." I did, dimming my light to keep his burning. Love made me blind, and I let him reshape me into someone predictable, pleasing, his. The day before the cabin, life felt normal, or as normal as it got in our too-big loft, where my dreams gathered dust. Evan called from the lodge, his voice warm despite the spotty connection. "The guys are killing me at poker," he laughed. "Wish you were here, babe." I smiled, zipping my carry-on, the surprise planned weeks ago. I'd been lonely, my days filled with his business invoices, while my own hopes, painting, traveling, maybe opening an art studio, faded. "No wives allowed?" he'd teased when I hinted at joining him. "It's a gay thing." I nodded, always the understanding wife. But this time, I wanted to be spontaneous, to see his eyes spark like they did on that pier. So I booked the flight, ordered the $200 bourbon, and ignored the knot in my gut screaming that something was wrong. The journey was a nightmare. My Seattle to Denver flight was delayed 3 hours for a mechanical issue. A snowstorm diverted me to Salt Lake City, where I slumped in a plastic airport chair, sipping burnt coffee, eyes glued to the departure board. The Bozeman leg was canceled, so I caught a red-eye to Billings, then a rickety shuttle to the lodge, arriving at 2 a.m. My body ached, my carry-on heavy with the bourbon and a single change of clothes. At Billings, an older woman noticed my fidgeting. "Someone special waiting?" she asked, smiling. "My husband," I said, forcing a grin. "He doesn't know I'm coming." She patted my hand. "Those are the best surprises." I clung to that image, Evan's arms around me, his friends toasting my effort. "That's my wife," he'd say, proud. Instead, I got a knife in the heart. "How much is the policy again?" Nate's voice slithered through the cabin door, lazy and amused. $3 million, Evan replied, like he was pricing a used car. "Took some work to get her to sign. Told her it was for our kids someday." My stomach lurched. Kids. We'd dreamed of a family, but he always said, "Let's wait, enjoy us first." Now I saw why. "That's cold, man," another voice chuckled. "Cold. It's smart," Evan shot back. "Her dad's worth 10 figures. Her sister's hotter, less uptight. Claire's nice, but she's predictable. Always trying to please everyone." The words sliced deeper than the plot. Predictable. Pleasing. That's who I was to him. A pawn in his game. I pressed my hand to my mouth, choking back a sob. My legs wobbled, but I didn't fall. Memories flooded, each one tainted. Last summer, Evan urged me to rock climb despite my terror of heights. "You're braver than you think," he'd said, nudging me toward the edge for a photo. The kayaking trip, where he paddled ahead, leaving me flailing in choppy water. The boating incident 2 years ago, when he insisted I swim out alone and wasn't there when I nearly drowned. I'd thought he was pushing me to grow. Now I saw the pattern. Accidents waiting to happen. Another flash. Him suggesting we update my will last year. For our future. I'd signed without reading closely, trusting him. God, I was such a fool. I set the bourbon down, untied the ribbon with my name, and backed away. Through the cabin window, I saw them, Evan, Nate, and 2 others, cards and beers scattered, laughing like nothing was wrong. My husband, plotting my death, looked happier than I'd seen him in years. My suitcase, still in the shuttle lot, felt like an anchor I couldn't carry. I left it. My wedding ring burned as I twisted it off, dropping it into my coat pocket. The shuttle driver, Hank, was still parked nearby, smoking. Back already? He asked, squinting. Change of plans, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Bus station, please. He nodded. No questions. The bus station was a fluorescent-lit hell, reeking of diesel and despair. I bought a ticket to Missoula with cash, the furthest I could afford before dawn. As the bus rumbled through the dark, tears spilled, silent and hot. Evan's words looped, predictable, boring, disposable. But beneath the pain, a spark of defiance flickered. He thought I was a doormat? I'd show him a hurricane. The question was, could I outrun him before he realized I was gone? By sunrise, I was in Missoula, checking into a dingy motel under my maiden name, Harper. The room smelled of mildew, the floral wallpaper peeling, the mattress a lumpy insult. But it was safe, for now. I bought a prepaid phone at a gas station, my hands shaking as I dialed Jenna, my assistant for my nonprofit days. Cancel everything for the next month, I stammered, my voice cracking. No one knows where I am, not even Evan, especially not Evan. She hesitated, worry thick in her tone. Clara, what's wrong? Are you hurt? I will be okay, I said, forcing steel into my words. Don't tell anyone you've heard from me. I hung up, my heart racing, and smashed my regular phone with a lamp base. Evan could track it. I wasn't taking chances. I needed a plan, but first, I needed to vanish. I withdrew $8,000 from an ATM, my daily limit, leaving my credit cards untouched. They could be traced. The cash felt like a lifeline, but it was a thin one. I bought a bus ticket to Portland, the ride grueling, the seats sticky with who knows what, the air thick with body odor. In Portland, I misjudged my budget and ran out of motel money, sleeping in a bus terminal one night, curled on a bench, my duffel bag clutched like a shield. I ate vending machine chips, my stomach growling, and nearly got scammed by a guy selling discounted bus tickets to San Francisco. I caught my mistake just in time, but it cost me $50 I couldn't spare. In San Francisco's Mission District, I found a youth hostel, $30 a night for a bunk in a shared room. The other guests, backpackers, drifters, a few runaways, kept to themselves, but I felt exposed, like Evan's shadow could find me any second. Sleep was a ghost. My mind replayed the cabin, the laughter, the betrayal. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment scheme. It was calculated. He'd isolated me. Lily's visit stopped after he called her interfering. Mara faded after he labeled her needy. He'd been building a narrative, painting me as the weak link. I remembered the skydiving trip last spring, my knees shaking as I stood by the plane's open door. You're stronger than you think, he'd said, his hand on my back. I'd thought he was encouraging me. Now I knew he was testing how far he could push. On day 4, I called Lily from a payphone, coins clinking, my breath uneven. Don't say anything, I whispered. It's me. I'm safe, but listen. Evan's dangerous. Don't tell anyone you've heard from me, not even Dad. Her voice cracked. Clara, where are you? I'm freaking out. I can't say. Has he contacted you? A pause. Yeah, a lot. He's been weird, asking about you, the trusts. He suggested we meet to talk about you. I told him to back off. My chest tightened. Good. Keep him away. I'll call when I can. I hung up, heart pounding. Lily had always seen through people. Her gut had screamed about Evan from the start. Why had I ignored her? I needed answers, not just for closure, but to survive. I called Marcus, a private investigator Dad hired years ago for a corporate leak. I'd met him once, a quiet man with eyes like steel traps. I need you to dig into someone, I said, my voice trembling on the prepaid phone. My husband, Evan. Financials, communications, everything. Discreet. This isn't cheap, Marcus said, his tone flat. And it could get ugly. I don't care, I replied, my resolve hardening. I need to know what I'm up against. I wired $5,000 from my personal account, the one Evan didn't know about, using a library computer, my fingers fumbling on the keyboard. It left me with $2,000 cash, barely enough for a week. Worse, I almost logged into my email without a VPN, a rookie mistake Marcus later scolded me for. You're not invisible yet, he warned. Be smarter. San Francisco felt like a trap, too close to Seattle, too easy for Evan to guess. I took a Greyhound to Los Angeles, then a train to San Diego, my cash now under $1,000. Every purchase, bus tickets, stale sandwiches, felt like bleeding out. In San Diego, I found a boarding house near the beach, run by Rosa, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s with a smoker's rasp. The house was a creaky relic, furniture mismatched, floors groaning, but it was $20 a night, cash only. ID? She asked, eyeing my duffel. My heart skipped. Lost it, I lied, bracing for rejection. She studied me, then shrugged. No trouble, no questions. That night, over bitter tea, she asked, running from something? I swallowed hard. Someone. She nodded, no judgment. Plenty of folks here are. Keep your head down. I dyed my hair dark brown in the bathroom, the cheap dye stinging my scalp, dripping like blood in the sink. I hacked it into a choppy bob, wincing at the mirror. My blue eyes, once Evan's favorite, were hollow, shadowed by sleepless nights. I bought thrift store clothes, jeans, hoodies, sneakers, nothing like the tailored dresses in my Belltown closet. I stopped wearing makeup, my freckles stark against pale skin. The woman I'd been, who matched her earrings to her shoes, was dead. Money was a constant knife at my throat. I cleaned rooms at Rosa's and washed dishes at a greasy diner, earning just enough for rent and ramen. I skipped meals, my ribs sharpening under my skin. Survival wasn't glamorous. It was gritty, humbling, relentless. One night, desperate for a bus ticket, I hovered over an ATM, my credit card in hand. Evan could track it. I walked away, cursing my weakness, but not before a stranger bumped me, snatching $20 from my pocket. I couldn't afford to chase him. Every mistake cost me, and I was running out of room to slip. Marcus's first report landed 2 weeks later, sent to an encrypted email I checked at a library. My hands shook as I opened it. Evan had taken out a $3 million life insurance policy on me 18 months ago, forging my signature. He'd opened a secret credit card, racking up $40,000. Casino trips, luxury watches, dinners I never tasted. Texts to Nate mocked my cluelessness. Others to Lily probed our family's wealth. Worst was a Bahamas account, opened a year after we married, holding $900,000 siphoned from our joint account, $1.5 million total. Money I thought was for his business. My money, stolen. I closed the laptop, nausea rising. This wasn't greed, it was a long con. I'd been his mark from the start. Our wedding flashed, his vows, his kiss under the stars. Lies, all of it. I stumbled to the beach, the Pacific stretching endless, and screamed until my throat burned. Waves swallowed my sobs. I wasn't just grieving my marriage. I was grieving the woman I'd become. Trusting, pliable, blind. Who was I now? A ghost? A fugitive? Or something new, clawing its way to life? San Diego was a stopgap, but Evan's reach felt too close. Marcus warned that the police had opened a missing persons case after Evan reported me gone, claiming I was unstable. He'd told Dad I'd been erratic, even hinted I might be suicidal. The audacity lit a fire in me. I needed distance, a place Evan wouldn't dream of looking. With my last $800, I bought a one-way flight to Costa Rica, using my maiden name, Harper. It was a desperate leap, but I was out of options. The flight to San Jose was a blur, my mind replaying tainted memories. Evan's push for risky activities, skydiving, deep-sea diving, that hike where he urged me to lean over a cliff for a selfie. His questions about my life insurance, framed as planning our future. His dismissal of my painting, a passion I'd nurtured in college before abandoning it to be the perfect daughter, then wife. "It's a hobby, babe," he'd said. "Focus on us." I'd listened, burying my spark. Now it flickered, faint but alive. I landed at dusk, the air thick with humidity and the scent of rain. A taxi took me to Puerto Viejo, a sleepy Caribbean town far from tourist resorts. Casa del Sol, a weathered hotel with peeling yellow paint and a tin roof, was my refuge. Maria, the owner, 60s with kind eyes and a smoker's cough, didn't blink at my lack of reservation. "Room available," she said, sliding a key. "You look like you need rest." My room was sparse. A bed with a mosquito net, a wooden chair, a rattling fan. Double doors open to a balcony over the Caribbean, waves crashing in a steady rhythm. I dropped my bag, the salt air stinging my eyes. For the first time since the cabin, I could breathe. But the pain clung like damp clothes. At night, Evan's words echoed. Predictable, boring, disposable. I cried until my body ached, the pillow soaked. I mourned the life I'd lost, the trust I'd given, the woman I'd buried. Maria noticed my red eyes the next morning, bringing coffee and mango slices to the balcony. "Eat," she said, her voice firm. "Then walk. The ocean heals." I doubted it, but I walked, barefoot, the sand cool under my feet. Locals fished, kids chased crabs, reggae drifting from a nearby bar. No one knew me. For the first time in years, I felt a whisper of freedom. Puerto Viejo became my sanctuary, but it wasn't easy. Money was a daily battle. I cleaned rooms at Casa del Sol for $10 a day. See you in the Graceful Revenge.